Hello YouTube, this is Ben Gessel. Oh, by the way, a house near us is for sale. Nobody's living in it yet. They're just doing repairs, painting. The bank owns it, as you can see. Um, yeah, I've had a good day today. I was going to go home, talk with my parents. I just was too tired to. I don't know. I know I've made a few different videos that are more diverse in subject matter, but just bear with me. Again, my phone sometimes likes to cut off on its own, so I might just do multiple videos, or just kind of keep an eye on how my phone is doing. Sorry about that. But yeah, there's a lot of things in my mind, and I've gotten a little bit more, maybe agitated today. Earlier today was okay, but more agitated today, later on. And there's some things that I think it would be healthy to mention here. Just trying to explain my thoughts here. I don't know if I'm saying too much of anything new. Actually, I might. But hopefully this sinks in really deep where it needs to. So someone very close to me, doesn't really matter if I'm not talking about his politics. And I do mean very, very close. It's just like, I won't say who exactly, but someone, well, we'll just say family. Someone does have, that close to me has very different views than I do about a lot of things. Very different views than the rest of my family, in fact. And as it is, I tend to be very investigative and probing regarding a number of different subjects. Many, many subjects in life. I mean, I'm kind of a I'm a conservative version in a way of Stephen King. I don't know if that's the best example here. But I'm not afraid to explore a lot of subjects that many people are not willing to explore as much. Some people are, but maybe it's just a question of, either trains of thought with certain subjects or just exploring it to the point that you know what you need to know for what you need to do. That's okay. I don't. It's evident that there's a number of very unpleasant subjects in existence that one shouldn't explore unless maybe they're emotionally ready for it, or it's also important to keep we'll say, approach certain subjects with a the intent to approach this. It's important to approach certain subjects with a more, I guess you could say, godly kind of mentality about it. If you approach some subjects in just a more demonic or satanic manner, yeah, you could kind of go off the deep end. You could, I don't know, just whatever would happen would not be good. But what am I talking about? So, cut to the chase here. I mentioned demon magicians. Demon magicians. I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. Demon magicians before. I mentioned that subject before. Demon magicians, and guys, whether or not you've experienced something like this before in real life or not, if you haven't, if you don't know something for sure, right? Aside from whatever religious beliefs you have that you hold to, because it's part of your way of thinking, and it's important for everybody to keep in mind that sometimes, you don't want to cut those strings. And this is also just some relevance to what I'm talking about, having to do with what I'm talking about, who I'm talking about, as having a little conversation with. you don't want to cut religious strings. It's just not. It's not a good idea either. Unless you're maybe deciding to go with a different religion that is still helps you lead a really righteous life that maybe you agree with more, or something like that. If it points in the right direction spiritually, things will work out. I think if someone changes religions or whatever. So I'm not talking about that so much in this video. Religion is something that we all will talk about here and there, of course, but I've learned increasingly to approach the subject a little bit differently, maybe than many. I'll put it that way. But it isn't necessarily religion I'm talking about again. I'm talking about just, it's so important. I want people to be, in general, to be open to truth wherever it exists. This is what I'm talking about. Open to truth wherever it exists. And that truth might be extremely, extremely frightening or unpleasant. But if it's still true, it's true. It's just that if it's a very dark sort of thing, you need to have a mental approach to it that is godly, that is good, right? It just seeks understanding, but it's not a good idea to contemplate things that are very dark for an extended period of time. I mean, I'm talking about evil practices, actually evil practices. I'm not talking unnatural practices. That's a really bad thing. And the more unnatural the practice, the worse it is to think about it. Because, look, I'm basically just talking about actually religion in a way here, or just basic morality. I wouldn't say basic necessarily, but it's one of the things I try to live by. Right? It's one of the religious teachings we have. It's actually in the scriptures. There's something called wicked imagination. Now, of course, there's a question of what that means exactly. What does it mean to have a wicked imagination? Well, if something causes you to feel less joy in life and more something negative, and it has to do with something that you have created in your mind or something that's come into your mind. Often in this case, it comes into your mind from some other source, right? You don't know how it got there. But when you think about it for a second, when it comes in, you know that it's evil. You know that it's dark. Even if it starts out as something kind of innocent. Not a big deal. It could be some we'll say, more unusual sexual practice. It could be something, something involving the torture of an animal, just to kind of explore what you could do to an animal and what effects it would have on it, and kind of have this, maybe I'm talking about this kind of cold-hearted scientific approach to experimentation on an animal, right? And on and on and on. I probably shouldn't tell you about other things because, again, this is all very unnatural stuff. But you get the idea. When you have a thought that pops in your head that's like this, I'm going to go a different route today. If you have a thought that pops in your head that is just evil, wrong, it's a question of how wrong it is. It happens we're all human. This sort of thing can happen to any of us. At least those of us, I think you get to a certain point, you might get to a certain point where you don't have those thoughts as often or not at all. If you are extremely always filling your mind and soul with good thoughts. It's possible, but I think that's still pretty rare. I don't know, it's anyone's guess. And there's a lot of the unknown I'm talking about with regard to the nature of various thoughts in this regard. Maybe I'm explaining too much about this right now. I wanted to talk about something else a little bit. But I think the term wicked imagination and its, we'll say, taboo aspects in Christianity. It's a good place to start for the subject. So there are people that don't want to acknowledge or admit to the existence of certain unnatural thoughts. And that's a good thing, I think. But to deny their existence, or to deny the existence of something that is real, even if it's incredibly evil and unnatural, to deny that existence is something different than just saying, I don't want to think about it. Some people might say that magic tricks are entertainment, right? They don't harm anyone. Even if they're demonic, right? What harm is it doing? Well, of course, aside from the making light of miracles of Jesus, that sort of thing. Aside from that sort of thing, well, the harm that it does. What if we? I think if I don't know. I don't know what all the effects would be. If there's an unknown factor here, then it's definitely best to be very, very cautious, or even just cut it off entirely, that sort of thing. However, I think it's important to, regarding demonic magic. Of course, you're going to have people that still will hold to the idea that it's all CGI and not true, or not nothing. I'm sorry, nothing that's really supernatural going on. There are people that are going to hold to that train of thought, and that's okay. But I say it's okay. Everyone has a choice, what to believe in that regard. If it isn't that kind of stuff, though, because that's just magic tricks. Just for the most part, we think of those things as illusions, right? Some people say there's nothing, but there's also all kinds of other things that are supernatural that don't necessarily specifically involve magic tricks, right? Now, someone can also say that they don't believe in that stuff either. But until, you have a negative experience in that regard, come up against that, or you have any other kind of experience that's maybe of emotional, ultimately spiritual nature, that you experience real evil, and when that happens, and it could be only you that knows it, and no one else. Until that happens, for the most skeptical secularist out there, you could insist that nothing ever happens. It can be frustrating to talk to these people for me. It can be. But again, the more frustrating aspect of this, I realized it's great to want to not have, that's the right thing to not want to have to think about evil stuff like this. But the frustrating thing is not being open to all things that are true. When we approach the subject of witchcraft and real demonic magic, that sort of thing, it's so important, I think, to go back to a godly kind of train of thought or being, or approach to this, because we don't want to be evil. I would think we don't want to be. We don't. Whether or not you think it's real or not, I would think that would be the case. Anyway. So, there's a lot of stuff out there. Again, it's just not sound. How can I put this? It's not helping anyone to deny the existence of something when you hear about it and you see it. You can't deny that something is real when you've seen it and it's real, even if it's dark. What you can do, though, is say, this is what I think it is, and you can hold to it. You can say, I don't approve of this kind of thing. You can say that. You can say that. And you can have people that try to differ with you, like, disagree with you. That's fine. to be expected, I guess. But anyway, I'm going to mention this also for you guys. I'm going to stop this video quick here. I don't think that any of you guys should support anything that you might sense is supernaturally or demonic magic or anything. So don't support it monetarily. If you see something like that for entertainment, keep it to a minimum. Recognize it for what it is. Don't worry about, being viewed as some relic of the past, or that your mindset is archaic or whatever. That's just, it's just another opinion that you know is not true. There's nothing. Here's my other train of thought with secularism, which is in many respects okay. Whatever. It's what I'm used to. Washington is very secular. This is the world I live in. I don't live in Utah. I don't live in Idaho. I don't live in Alabama, Mississippi, or whatever. I don't live in a place where there's a lot of religion. Majority of people here are very secular. So this is the kind of people that I interact with on a daily basis, as far as I can remember, almost. All right, for better or for worse. So I'm very used to all this kind of stuff. I'm very well versed in liberal, secular trains of thought. And to be honest, I think sometimes it helps to not take demonic magic or all some similar subjects very seriously. It can help because you don't think about those things, I would think. Again, I don't like the attitude of refusing to accept something that may be true, or at least real, simply because of whatever. It's that attitude that gets some people into trouble at times. To me, any refusal to, look, if I'm having a conversation with someone who's totally different religion, and they say something to me that expresses a truth I never really thought of as much before in a certain way, that's awesome. I'm going to probably accept that truth, even if I haven't really heard it expressed a certain way before. I'm going to head back the other way I came. They could have more sidewalks around here, at least on the other side of the street. That's the way I am. I'm going to accept truth for wherever it comes from. Anyway, I'm going to stop this video, make another one here in just a bit. But, it's just... Folks, it would be great if you had a mindset where you are open to understanding truth as it comes. When I say truth, I mean something that's real. If something is real, that you actually have seen, you come to understand it's real. Something is real, but maybe in a very unusual or supernatural aspect. Don't close yourself off to that stuff. Close yourself off to the evil, right? We want to close ourselves off to things that are evil and wrong, but don't deny its existence. That's just kind of foolish, in my opinion. But it can be healthy again because you're not thinking about it. So that's a good thing. All right, I'm gonna make another video here in a bit. Catch you guys later.